So I'm going to ask you all to suspend your fandom for a little bit and objectively try to listen to what I'm going to say. Now, you guys know that I like stories. I've always been a little bit of a storyteller. It's why I got into media in the first place. It's why me and my identical twin brother have written 11 books together, 3 of them chapter books. 8 of them are, 3 of them picture books, 8 of them are chapter books. And I like the story of sport. It's why the Mets have been so interesting because of the Stevie Cohen takeover, bringing in Billy Epler and Buck Showalter and the path that they have taken to become very relevant in Major League Baseball in a very short amount of time. They spent a ton of money. The Yankees also have this amazing history, this story that just tells you that every year they're going to at least have a chance. But I look at the story this year of both of these teams, and they're so similar. They really are. Both these teams have had significant leads in their divisions. The Yankees' biggest lead was back in July 8th. They were 15 and a half games up. They've been in first place in this division in the AL East for 129 days, which is insane. The Mets are the same way. Their biggest lead back to June 1st was 10 and a half games, that over the Braves. They've been in first in the NL East for 140 days. You look at what they did when they played each other in the Subway Series. Both home teams won both of those games. They both scored 13 runs in those 2 games. There's so many similarities. 29 games over 500 the Yankees are right now. 34 games the Mets are over 500 right now. They have leads in their respective divisions, and they're also kind of the second best teams in their leagues. The Astros are probably the best team in the American League with how good they clutch hit, and their pitching staff has been outstanding, led by Justin Verlander, whereas the Dodgers are not likely, but they are. You just got to look at their record, the best team in the National League. They're 19 and a half games up in their division. That's not relative to them, but their pitching staff has been fantastic, from Tyler Anderson to Gonsolin, who just came back, and even Clayton Kershaw, who's still on the 15-day DL, was having a fantastic season as well. So the Dodgers are probably the best team in the National League. The Astros are probably the best team in the American League, and the Yankees and the Mets, they're second. And I see all of these things that make me feel good relatively about both of these 2 teams, the Yankees and the Mets. And I look forward. I try to project forward. We're in a dog days, right, of summer. It's August 26th right now. There's still 37 or 36 games left to play in the Major League Baseball season, and you're trying to project out what's going to happen. You look at the Mets and you say, their pitching staff is fantastic. Jacob deGrom, in another 4 or 5, perfect innings last night. You look at the Yankees. Giancarlo Stanton is coming back. That added power in the middle of that lineup to help protect Aaron Judge just makes them feel more like they were a few weeks ago when they were dominating teams and had a huge lead in the division. And as I look at both of them, I try to project to the postseason and what's going to happen. They're going to win their first series, and then they're going to get to the championship series, and then what's going to happen. And as similar as I feel that these 2 teams are, and as much as I would love to see a Subway Series, World Series, something is holding me back. And I'm asking you this again, suspend your fandom here. Don't say I'm a Yankee fan, so I'm just blindly believing in the Yankees. Don't say I'm a Mets fan and I'm just blindly believing in the Mets. So suspend your fandom for a second and see if you follow me here. When I look at the story of the Yankees and the injuries that they sustained, the uninspiring trade deadline situation, the beginning of the season, the lack of moves that were made, just kind of figure this out. The whole Aaron Judge drama that persisted around, the lack of an urgency that you feel with this Yankees team. You contrast that to this uplift of the Mets and the moves that felt small but were huge at the trade deadline for the Mets, the young kids coming up and making a little bit of a difference, the fact that they have two Cy Young winners that are back-to-back Cy Young winners that are their two aces and have been dominant as it mattered post All-Star break. I look at both of these teams and their similar paths this year. And for some reason, I can't get there with the Yankees. I'm there with the Mets. And I'm a Yankee fan. And I want to believe that the Yankees have the ability to get to the World Series. But I can't get there. I can get there with the Mets. I can see the Mets taking on the LA Dodgers, even if they don't have home field in a 7-game series. I can see the Mets taking on the LA Dodgers and finding a way to grind ugly, something maybe even pretty because you get a shutout or a great game from one of their starting pitchers. I can see them beating the Dodgers and getting to the World Series. And I can't see the Yankees getting past the Astros. And I want to. In my mind, I want the Yankees to be that team that figures it out. But I look at the injuries that they've sustained and maybe will continue to sustain because it seems like every week there's someone else going down. Nestor Cortez is down now with a groin injury. Thankfully, Giancarlo Stanton is back with that Achilles tendonitis, and he's impactful right away. You see his value right away. But then I go look at the starting rotation for the Yankees. Garrett Cole, okay, he's going to be Garrett Cole. Domingo Germán, I don't know if I trust him fully. Jameson Taillon, I like Taillon. He was good last night, but do you really trust him against the Astros? Clark Schmidt, who was sent down to AAA to get stretched out so he could be a starter. He's starting in 3 days from now against 2 days from now against the A's. Clark Schmidt, he was just reliever. He got stretched out. Now he's starting. Frankie Montas, he had one good outing out of 4. You really believe in it? There's something in my mind that's holding me back, and I want to get rid of it, but I'm being objective here. There's something that's telling me the Mets have it, the Yankees don't. And I'm not being unfair. I'm not trying to be confrontational. I'm not trying to be divisive. There's something, and I know that you guys must feel it as well. Suspend your fandom. Again, I'm asking you, suspend your fandom and tell me I'm not wrong. 877-337-6666. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on brand name tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. And I also think about the story that will be told at the end of the season. Let's go back to the Rams. So the Rams, who just won the Super Bowl last year, right? That story is pretty damn cool. They have for the last 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5, going back to when Sean McVay first became head coach, have just sold out to win, right? Forget draft picks. We don't need them. We're going to spend money to go get stars. Jalen Ramsey, and obviously they paid Aaron Donald, deservedly so. They go get Matthew Stafford in a trade. Odell Beckham Jr. they bring in. Von Miller they bring in. They sold out to win a championship. And why? Because they had to. The LA Rams moving back to Los Angeles and bringing football back to a part of the country that had basically given up on the NFL because of, they had screwed them over. The Raiders had screwed them over. There's ways to spend your disposable dollar in Los Angeles that have nothing to do with the NFL. So the only way the Rams can get the story right and get fandom back is to try to buy a championship. And they did it. And guess what? They did it in their home stadium last year. Right? It's an amazing story when you go think about it. Right? Sean McVay, who was just prodigal son, whose grandfather was in the game, and he's been coming up since he was 15 years old, working through the Washington organization, ultimately getting his opportunity, and he brings in the quarterback that he wants, Matthew Stafford, who is good but disrespected because he played in a crappy organization in Detroit. Let's bring him in here and add all these pieces around it. We win a Super Bowl at home. And it's amazing. And now we have all these fans. Like, it's a great story. I can see that story with the Mets. I can. Years of melees, years of injury and great potential just being undercut by one thing or another. And then Stevie Cohen taking over for the Wilpons. I'm going to spend money. I'm going to make this thing happen. Whether you want to see it or not, it's going to happen. You bring in a good general manager. You hire the best coach in baseball right now, and Buck Showalter, who's going to win Manager of the Year. You overspend for Max Scherzer. You overspend for Francisco Lindor. Pete Alonso keeps this rise going, and you have these ancillary pieces that you just drop in here and there, and before you know it, you win a World Series. It just feels like the right story. Now, maybe that's what's directing my thought. But again, I stated, I just look at both these teams, and they're so similar, right? This year, not historically, but this year, they're very similar. I see it for the Mets. I'm having trouble finding it for the Yankees. 877-337-6666. Let's get to Peter, who's out in Staten Island. Peter, welcome to the Fan. How you doing, man?
Okay, Tiki, how are you?
I am doing very well.
Yeah, I agree completely with this Yankee meta evaluation that you have. I just can't see, and I'm a Yankee fan, I can't see the Yankees getting past Houston or really doing any damage in the playoffs.
Well, I think the Houston thing is what bothers me. I think that might be what bothers me most, because I don't believe the Yankees can beat Houston because they haven't done it, and whether they're home or away, the Astros always have their number. Now, maybe if they had, had some convincing wins against the Astros at some point this year, I might think differently. But it's the Astros that are hanging me up with the Yankees and all of the things that have gone awry for the Yankees. They've weathered it. They still have a 7.5 game lead in the division, but something's blocking me from seeing the Yankees get there.
I think, like you said, it's that clutch hitting that Houston has that the Yankees don't have. And I think also, too, the difference in the Mets and the Yankees, pitching and the managers.
Yes. The manager's the X factor. It's an X factor. It absolutely is. Yeah.
If we really had the Cole that we thought we had, and, a couple other guys, you'd give them a better chance.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And
if DeGrom goes down, how do you feel about the Mets?
It's different. I think it's very different if Jacob DeGrom is not healthy. But Jacob DeGrom has looked fantastic in his last couple outings. Appreciate your call, Peter. Last night he was amazing. I mean, the first batter he struggled with a little bit, got to I think 7 or 8 pitches with the leadoff hitter, but he got him out, and then he retired the next 11 batters in a row, and a lot of those were strikeouts. I think 6 or 7 strikeouts he had in those first 4 or 5 innings. So, I mean, Jacob DeGrom knows how to pitch, and his process is one of just challenge. I think he threw all fastballs. I don't think he threw a breaking ball to his 9th pitch last night. It was fastball. I'm all location. I'm challenging you to hit my fastball, and they couldn't do it. And I love that. Like this, it's a I'm better than you mentality. And I think the Mets have that, whereas the Yankees quietly want to have that, but they haven't shown it. Let's get Ed, who's in Elizabeth. Ed, welcome to the Fan. What's up, man?
Hi, Tiki. How you doing? I want to bring up a point. First off, I'm a Yankee fan.
Yes.
And I'm sure WFAN has the tape. Listen to the 3rd inning last night, and we're talking about Nestor Cortez having a grade 1, 2 strain of his groin.
Yes.
Susan Waldman actually says, because I was listening to the game coming home from an event I was at.
Gotcha. So you're on the radio.
And she says right on the radio that Nestor Cortez today was jogging in the outfield and playing catch with Aaron Boone. Now, if a guy's supposed to have a groin pull or whatever,
yes,
he should be rested. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, no, he should be. The only thing is they made it retroactive to his last start, I believe. So maybe he had it like 4 or 5 days ago and it was feeling tight. I don't know. But if it's grade 2, then that's not a good thing. If it's grade 1, you can get over that pretty quickly. But I don't disagree with you.
I'm sorry, Tiki, but she said it was grade 1 or grade 2. So why do the Yankees, Cashman and his cronies, want to try to outsmart the Yankee fan? We know that that Nestor Cortez isn't throwing because of this so-called load management thing,
Yes.
which is a crock of bull.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I know. You're probably right. You know, this. You remember, Ed, you remember this because if you're a New York fan, you recognize this from the Patriots. The Patriots would play games with the injury list over and over and over and over again. And it would get so frustrating because you knew it was nonsense, but it was a way to, I don't know, manipulate the information that was going to the opposing team or going to the league and then subsequently to the opposing team, whoever they're playing that weekend. The Yankees might be doing a little bit of that with Nestor Cortez. If Nestor Cortez is not actually hurt, but he's got a little bit of tightness in his groin, which I think, look, if you're a pitcher and you're driving off of your back leg, there's going to be strain in your lower body. I mean, you could probably say that about anything. Maybe it is a little bit of manipulation and giving Nestor some rest because, as we all know, he is way above what his previous innings maximum was. I think it was 93 games or so. And he's 93 innings or so. He's already up to 131, I think so right now. So, yeah, he's way over where he was. But you know what? I'm not mad at them for that. If they want to rest Nestor Cortez and claim it's a groin injury and put him on the 15-day IL, so be it. But you got to realize that it takes Nestor out of the rotation. Not that they got to worry about Oakland because Oakland is terrible and they bludgeoned them last night. But it still makes me come back to the same thought. Do I trust Garrett Cole? Do I really trust Nestor? Do I trust Jamison Tyone? Do I trust these Yankees to win that game that they need to? I'm having trouble getting there. But when I ask that same question about the Mets, for some reason, I feel okay about the Mets. And I'm not even a Mets fan, even though I appreciate the hell out of what they're doing. 877-337-6666. Again, suspend your fandom when you answer this question. Don't come yelling at me saying, I thought you were a Yankee fan. Tiki Barber here for Tiki and Tierney on WFAN.